Hey guys, tonight I'm with one of guitar maestro hail from Canada, Mr. Nick Johnston.
Oh my, thank you.
What are you doing here, Nick?
What an introduction! I've never been called a maestro before.
You are.
I've been called. I've been called.
What have you
Hey,
been called?
you get out of here! No, why am I here? I'm here
Yeah.
as part of a guitar clinic tour on behalf of Schecter.
It's not the first time, right? It's the second
This
time.
is my third or fourth time. I
No,
can't
in
remember.
Singapore?
Yeah, I've been to Singapore a few
Why don't you
times.
just move here, man?
So yeah, it's the first time in I think 5 years. I
Wow.
think, something like
That's
that.
insane.
Yeah, and I'm here with Schecter and Dave's Guitar
Yeah.
doing a clinic, which we did today, and
How was it?
It was awesome. It was so good. I don't know about the playing. The playing,
Yeah.
I'm sure, was okay, but the event, the people, the atmosphere.
How are the people?
I'm not sure.
Are they nice to you, the
I'm
people?
not sure. There was the people.
Yeah.
Great. I thought you said how many people.
Oh,
The people were wonderful. I mean,
very welcoming, right?
so welcoming, so kind. Just very, very supportive and very interested in what I was doing.
No
and
pressure.
No,
No
none.
pressure.
No pressure. It was just great, and having. I mean, when you do a clinic, a lot of times it's in a
Yeah.
music store.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's okay. You know, the music store where they have those sort of like horrible, the lighting.
Yeah.
It's like you're in an
Yeah.
office building, and
Yeah.
it's usually there's people shopping,
True, yeah.
looking for strings, or you hear someone playing drums, and you're like trying to play. But this was like,
Just a
you're-
venue
It's a
special.
club, and yeah.
Just
So
specially for you.
a magical evening.
Just for you.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
You're feeling great, right?
Feeling so good, and I hope to get to come back.
Why don't you just move here, man? Just move here. You've been here for what, 5 years? I mean, like you've been coming in.
The last time I was here was with Keith Marrow,
Yeah, Keith Mara.
and the time before that I was here doing something with Mesa Boogie.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been here a few times, and then obviously on my own this time.
I mean, thank you for coming. And
My pleasure. My gosh.
I mean, to me, you are a cross in between a modern guitar player and also those maestros from back then.
Wow.
You know, I mean, to me, like you incorporate all those techniques of the modern techniques and also the of the guitar in the past. You know, like especially. I mean, when I look at you, it's like when I look at your playing, it's more like those guitar masters like
Oh,
Steve Vai,
man.
just a
You're
trend.
so
but
nice.
but you have your own essence of how you're playing it and stuff like that.
That's cool to hear. It's always so difficult to know if what you're doing is the right thing.
I mean,
You know, I think as guitar players, as musicians, but specifically as guitar players for whatever reason, guitar seems to be the instrument where everybody's always comparing. There's a lot of times there's a very very kind of negative community around it, which I don't understand. I think
it's
when guitar is doing well, it means we can
Yeah,
all
yeah,
do
it's
well.
true, yeah.
It's the most bizarre thing.
but I guess people like to compete. I guess.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
there
the
is a
problem.
competition. It can be healthy, but it can also be very toxic. But I think because I did grow up, and I had no choice in the matter. It was always on in the house when I was a kid. Listening to older 70s music, progressive rock from the 70s, blues music from the UK and you know from Chicago
Yeah.
and from Mississippi and stuff like that, and being exposed to music decade before I even picked the instrument up.
Yeah.
It was just sort of in my cellular makeup. It was in my DNA to hear these guitar players and by the time I had really gotten into guitar and really been in that kind of 8 hours a day of practice world.
You do that, huh? You did that.
Yeah, I did all that.
Okay.
Yeah, for a long time. I had, you know, when you're so obsessed with something, you without even really doing deep research, you tend to find the best stuff.
Of course, for
You
sure.
know,
yeah.
and my biggest guy in the beginning was, you know, the first Yngwie record, the Rising Force record. You know, getting into Jeff Beck, the live at
Oh, wow.
live at
Wow,
Roy
yeah.
Scott's, the Stevie Ray Vaughan double Montreux live DVD, and Eddie Van Halen for 6. My favorite Van Halen record was the second one, but getting into all that stuff and then seeing, as I was going through high school, seeing guys like Guthrie Govan show up.
Oh yeah.
You know, hearing guys like Mark Lettieri and you know, getting to hang out with Tosin quite a bit, Tosin Bossy, watching him do his thing, and just really seeing guitar almost in my generation, really seeing it evolve.
Yeah.
I feel like I was in this really interesting, because I'm 35, this really interesting sweet spot where we were the last generation to not have the internet,
Yeah.
and we were sort of the generation to where it was like instrumental music was kickstarted.
Yeah.
So
Sure, yeah.
myself, Polyphia,
Yeah.
Pliny, Animals and Leaders,
Yep, that's
Intervals, Chon, C2A, all these guys, and we're all kind of relatively the same age. It was just like, there was a little bit of that modern,
Yeah.
but I can only speak for myself on this front, but there was a strong reverence for what came before.
Yeah.
And the musicality that almost came before the technique.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now a lot of times it's a little bit more technique before musicality. Whatever, it's finding that balance, and I feel like I kind of live somewhere, I don't know, in there.
That's
but I always have
yeah.
one foot dragging in the blues, always.
Oh yeah,
There's always
yeah,
one,
definitely.
yeah.
I mean, the way I'm looking at you is like you're a mixture of you have the techniques and you have the melodic sense. That's what's important to me. I mean, the melodic sense. You have the melodic sense
Oh man, that's great to hear.
instead of just techniques all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of just flashy stuff.
Yeah.
But you have the melodic sense.
Yeah, and that's the Joe Satriani kind of school where, I mean, I think one of the perfect instrumental records is The Extremist. That record is just top to bottom. It's, you know,
It's one I totally listen.
it's up there. It's definitely up there. I think what had happened, why I developed that,
Yeah.
was because when I was a teenager, because I didn't really get into Joe until I was in my 20s after the fact. But when I was
Oh.
a teenager, I was obsessed with a group of guitar players that came from the 80s under the Shrapnel label.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, so now we're talking.
are we gonna talk about this?
We can talk about it.
We can talk about this forever.
I could talk about this all day and night. I had everything. So so for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I'm
Yeah.
talking about how it started was basically Yngwie with Steeler, then Tony McAlpine,
Yeah.
and then the crop of guitar players that came from there. You know, Vinnie Moore, Greg Howe, Jason Becker, Marty Friedman,
I forgot one more.
all of these guys. I mean, I forgot tons.
Yeah.
Joey Tafola, I mean,
Richie Kotzen. Yeah.
Darren Householder. There's tons.
Oh, yeah,
There's
it's
tons.
insane.
There's tons, man. But what had happened was, and I'm sorry if anyone's offended by this, but it is what it is. I found those weren't really songs. They were sort of vehicles of technique display, and that's and Paul Gilbert, of course.
Yeah,
And that's not their fault. A lot of times it was hey, we need a record by
Yeah.
next month.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Get it done, and it's just like there's no time to write great melodic.
I think it's the era of.
It was the era. It
yeah,
was
it's the era,
these
yeah.
kids. They were young.
Yeah,
they were
for
19,
sure, yeah.
18.
Definitely,
That's
yeah.
what they were doing. So I overdosed on that, and I heard so much technique to the point where I
I mean,
kind of started to dislike it.
Oh,
And then,
no.
yeah, and I
No
can't.
way.
I actually can't listen to that stuff anymore.
You
It's
serious?
it's almost to me comical
Okay.
because
got
it's
it.
like, oh, now he's doing his sweep lick. Now he's doing his
Yeah,
tap
yeah.
lick. Now he's doing his. But then all of a sudden I get into Joe Satriani, and I didn't listen to Satriani in my teen years because I didn't think he was like technical enough.
Yeah.
Until I I got into him later, and I heard the Extremist. I heard the one record of his that really caught me and was in 2005. I bought a copy of Super Colossal,
Okay.
and I was like,
That's
I'll check
pretty-
him out again. I'll check him
yeah.
out. And that record had a little bit more synthesizer and kind of experimental stuff, but there was still a melody in every song. And I mean, the Super Colossal melody is a little bit cheesy, but I can sing it right now if you wanted me to.
Oh, wow.
I could do it. Like
You could
it's
just hear it. I mean,
it's right there versus I don't know some of that trap stuff. I can't sing it. I don't mean to compare because that's
Yeah,
not the point. I'm
understand
just
that, yeah.
saying my roots started as the hyper technical stuff as a guitar player and then moved to the melodic stuff. So I kind of had an inverse kind of way. It didn't start simple
Yeah.
and then get harder. It started at the peak
All-
and then I stripped it down. But
it
then
takes you like right
yeah,
there, like
yeah,
it's
exactly.
huge.
And then you realize with someone like Joe, Joe's still waters run deep. You know, there's
Yeah.
so much depth to how he's thinking and what he's doing and how he's how he's perceiving music, and the choices he's making.
Mhm.
He could play fast all the time. He could do all that bullshit.
He
but
could shred. I mean,
yeah,
if he wants
if
to.
he wants to, but he he chose the melodic approach,
Approach, yeah.
which I try to do.
I mean, you're doing it, man.
Try
I
to do.
mean,
Thanks, man.
so what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna tap into the mind, the complex
Let's
mind.
get into complex.
Complex mind of Nick
The
Johnston.
layered mind.
Layered mind. So okay, so I mean, it seems that you're pretty well versed in harmony and music theory.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
how,
Yeah. My own
Okay.
version of it. But yes.
yeah,
it's
but
cool,
you're pretty well versed because okay, the reason why I said that when I look at your songwriting,
Mm.
the modal interchange,
Mm.
you adopted that a lot, and your
Yeah.
melody changed from major to minor, and the parallel major and
Yeah.
minor. Do you think how? I mean, when you write, what comes first, the melody first or progression?
Right. Well, okay. So I've been playing now for 20 plus years, and my goal from the beginning was to make my own music. I always had really bad technique. I'm left-handed, so my picking was.
Dude.
Are you too?
Yeah.
With the left hand.
Yeah. Keep laughing, man.
Boom.
Yeah.
I always had really, really bad picking technique, and I couldn't get the hands sync together well. I
Yep.
still can't. It's terrible. So I didn't worry about learning other people's music because I couldn't do it. So I didn't learn other people's songs. I didn't learn any solos. I didn't do any of that stuff. Yeah. So you know the
Yeah.
struggle. You know. Thank God we don't play a lefty though.
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate struggle.
I can't play that.
I can't play a
It's
damn
kinda
note
weird.
like that.
I mean, you're strong on you can do legato a lot. But
Yeah. So I was really interested from the beginning in writing music and writing my own music. But I realized after learning enough music theory, there's only so many things you can do with I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do, but I ran out of interest in just using the key.
just
Major,
that.
minor, minor, major,
minors,
major,
yeah,
minor.
yeah,
It's just like,
that's
that's fine, that's great. You can do a lot of, many hit songs have been made with that.
Sure, yeah.
And a lot of money has been made
Yeah,
with that.
Sure.
But in order for me to have sustained my interest and to actually tap into what I'm really interested in, and what I'm interested in is just, I'm just really interested in tension. I just love, I love things moving in a way where you didn't see it coming,
Mhm.
and then it resolved. Sort of like that weave. I think of this as
So you
as
play the
knitting, 'cause-
outside, right?
Not so. It's interesting. I don't necessarily play outside with my lead playing, but the chords are derived from intervals that are outside. So, for example, if you play in C sharp minor pentatonic,
Yeah.
a C, that's now going to be a G sharp major chord as opposed to G sharp minor. So
Yeah.
it's reflected in the harmony. Or if you play C sharp minor, you play a 6 in that. So you play
Okay.
the B flat. That becomes the F sharp would be a major as opposed to an F sharp as a
That's right.
minor. So I think of it like that, whereas as the tension is being woven into the chords. Anyway, I'm getting
But,
ahead of
your
myself.
melody, though, I mean, it fits well with the chord progression.
Right now, that comes from I write everything at the piano.
Oh,
So I get
okay.
the melody. So to answer your
Yeah.
question in a roundabout way, the melody and the harmony are at the same time, and what it is I'm usually. It's funny. As a kid, I had a very strict practice routine as a teenager. I always had to have my rule was 4 hours by 4. By 4 o'clock, I had to have 4 hours in,
You set it up your own.
all my own, and then I had by dinner time I had to have 6 hours in, and by bed I had to have 8 hours in. And if I didn't, I wouldn't go to bed until I did.
Dude, that discipline is not. Straight
It
up.
was
like,
nuts.
Discipline.
It was
is
not,
just-
and I don't recommend it because I didn't have a social life.
Don't do that.
I actually don't do that. Really don't. And that was the way I needed to learn. My learning style is bang your head against the wall until it sinks in.
It worked
That's
for
the-
you, though. I mean,
It's the only way it could have worked for me.
Okay.
I kind of use the example of there's if you see a brick wall in front of you 10 feet high, you can walk around it, you can climb over, it, you can
Yeah.
dig under it. I just smashed my head on it until I went through it.
oh,
So just over and over again. Anyway, so the technique and the theory and all that stuff, it was all, it all helps and it all kind of weaves together. But what I do, sorry, drinking
right.
from that water we had,
yeah,
Perry or whatever it was. When I'm when I'm in that mode of writing, which is my favorite thing to do with music, is create and compose and stuff. It's all at the piano, because you
So
get
you
that
wrote
instant
everything on a piano.
everything
You
on
wrote
the piano.
everything on a
Yeah,
piano.
you get that instant harmony. You know who else I heard? Not, I could be wrong. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I heard Pat Metheny talking about how that's how he does it too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's one of the pantheon. You know, he's
Of
up
course,
there.
yeah.
He's
He's
one
crazy.
of the
He's,
guys. Yeah. So in real time, you're getting the melody with the harmony, and I can't play. I'm not the kind of guitar player that can do the point counterpoint. I can't do the chord accompaniment. I don't have the
okay.
hand. I just don't have the hand. I never developed the technique. So the only way I can really do it is on a piano. If I play a C minor, I can immediately audition every interval against that.
Let's see.
Or I can kind of think, well, if it's C minor, what are the chords in the key? And you go through all the chords. Well, I don't like any of those chords. And you get to a point where you go, I don't like any of the shit. Like everything I'm playing, I don't like it. Well, what if it goes C minor, B flat major, then A minor 7? It's like, oh, there's enough that's parallel.
Yeah.
And then, okay, what about after that? Then I'll go to A flat major, which is now back in key. And then I'll go to G major, which is now harmonic, C harmonic
With
minor.
a melody on top of it.
Yeah,
while
and
playing,
it's kind
the
of
chord
and
changes.
really simple melodies. It just literally has to follow 2 or 3 notes, and then I'll play F minor, and then I might make that F major all of a sudden. So I'm really just thinking these little chromatic movements, but it's if you played C minor and moved those notes around, it's all just descending tension.
Yeah.
But you reharmonize it as a chord, and because I'm writing instrumental music primarily. We don't have lyrics,
For sure, yeah.
so I can't tell you if I'm sad. I can't tell you if something's mysterious or dark or I'm angry. I have to kind of emote it with sounds, yeah. And most of the time it's tension that does that for me, anyways.
But I love it though.
Yeah.
I mean, the tension bring you outside somehow, and then after that, bring it back home.
Yeah, there's that. It's that
Pulling,
resolution, tension resolution.
Pushing him,
Yeah,
pulling him.
and you know what's really fun sometimes is to not resolve it. It's to just end something, and people are like,
and with a dog
no,
7.
it's like a movie where you think the good guy's gonna win and he dies, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
How could you do that? It's like, sorry, that's how it had to happen.
I think those classical player right back then, Beethoven and
Chopin, all these guys, yeah, sure.
So they use these harmonic minor, melodic minor, and then they resolve to a chord where just minor chord.
Yeah.
But they didn't resolve it to the minor major 7 chord because it's gonna sound weird.
Too weird.
But would you do it
Yeah.
if you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I do it all the time. All the time. I think classical music, although it sounds fiery and in a lot of times sort of anti like some of these guys are doing all this amazing stuff. A lot of it is based on rules, though.
Yeah,
it's a
for sure.
It's a form.
There's
So
rules
there's
over
still a form, and
Yeah.
there's still sequence, and like they still have to follow the
Yeah,
rules,
that's right.
and that I hate that.
You don't want that.
No,
You don't
because
want
I
that.
don't. That's not why I do it. I don't do it to, I'm not commissioned by a king
Yeah.
to write an opera.
Yeah.
I sit at home, and my wife and I, we're both creative people, and we don't have kids. We go to eat. We hang it, but we're just creative. I just work on shit all day, and I want to just try and develop my own language, which is where the title for my new album came from. Young Language. I'm just trying to figure out, like every album, I'm trying to express the new. Without sounding too pretentious, I don't want to sound pretentious. Every album, I'm trying to express how I've been feeling, and chord choices and tension and my guitar playing on each record's very different, and it never follows a formula. Never follows.
there's no
The
formula.
arrangements are kind of odd sometimes, and tension. You can do that with diatonic chords, but maybe once, maybe twice, and then you're kind of stepping on your own toes after a while.
You don't have the formula or like, okay, the intro, the verse, or the chorus, or the bridge.
No,
don't.
you just feel it. You feel it. You know when a song's done.
Yeah.
You don't know why it's done. You don't know how to communicate it sometimes, but you kind of Like I lay in bed at night. We were talking about insomnia. I have
Yeah.
a little bit of that myself. My brain just it won't shut the hell up ever.
Actually, it's complex. I mean, it's your complex mind.
Yeah.
Just not shutting
Oh wait,
down.
actually it is. Yeah,
it's,
I, I can't. I can't ever stop thinking about writing music. I can't. I'm always thinking about. I'm always thinking about how can I make that better. I want to try and fix that. I want to try and fix that. So
in bed, right? You're talking about in bed.
oh, in bed on the plane, while I'm doing a clinic, I'm thinking I'm playing a song. I'm like, why did I do that there? I could have put that chord. It doesn't matter. Like I'm always thinking about and it's a bit of an obsessive mindset, but I'm chasing that perfect harmony
Constantly.
constantly. I haven't figured it out yet at all, but I'm chasing it. Every record is just a diary. It's just
Just a journey.
here's
It's a
what I'm
journey,
doing
yeah.
now. Let's
Yeah.
see what this shit's gonna sound like next time.
And you don't like okay, I'm gonna write a tune in Phrygian maybe.
Yeah.
Would you do you do that?
I
or
don't.
you
No, I don't. I don't approach it like that. I approach it. Um, you know, when I think too much about there's an interesting balance. I'd be curious to know what you think too.
Okay.
There's an interesting balance of your like the music theory should be kind of like imagine you had an internet browser open.
Yeah.
It should be like the third tab, like
Yeah.
and you're not even using it. It's
Yeah.
just there.
Yeah,
it's
there,
running.
Yeah.
It's just running it's like an app that's running on
Sure,
your
yeah.
phone or something. So it's there, but you really want to just be in the moment and thinking, and
True.
above all, listening.
Yeah.
Just
for sure. Yeah,
and then being like,
that's-
okay, oh, that was clever what I did there, but does it sound good? And that's a thing because that's your ego talking.
Yeah,
Then it's like,
correct.
no, this is a really cool chord change. It's like no, but it doesn't sound good. So there's like all these things constantly happening, and I'm just thinking about the best way to present the information. Does that make sense? How do you?
Yeah, it
think
makes
of
sense.
How
to
do
me.
you?
I mean, to me, like theory, right? It's a theory.
It's a theory, exactly.
So you can break it.
Oh,
If it sounds
smash it.
if it sounds good to you, I think you can break it. I mean,
Yes.
the reason why I learned music theory because just trying to understand it from the school perspective, but then I can just break it anytime I want. I mean, it's my composition.
I love
man.
that. It's yours,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like what you did. So I was like, I'm trying to approach the question in an educational way, but you break it and then say, okay, this is how it's being done.
Yeah. No, there's so many ways you can approach it, and everybody's method is totally valuable.
Yeah.
Everybody's method is valid, and there's no wrong way to do it. But my way to do it, at least right now, I don't know what it's going to be like in a few years, but my way now is just let me find something I haven't done before, and when my rule is if something makes me on any level, it could be the dumbest little repeated thing, anything. If it interests me at all, I'm like, okay,
You're on,
I'm like, I
you're on.
gotcha,
Yeah.
and it's like, and I work on it until it's done, and I finish everything. No song is abandoned.
Yeah.
Just because I like working that muscle. It'd be like if you were working out and you just went down.
Yeah.
It's like no, you got to bring it
gotta
up
bring it
to
up,
develop
yeah.
the muscle. I finish everything. Most of these things no one will ever hear. Thank God. Some of it's not great, let me tell you. But I think in order to develop, like to me, music is all about reaction. It's all
Sure,
about
yeah.
reaction.
Yeah.
Like if you heard an E minor chord and I heard it, we'd play totally different things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
For totally different things. And the more experience and the more language you have, the more you can react
Yeah.
to stuff. And I think that's a magical thing.
True.
when
I mean,
you develop
we,
that.
we can be given like a lick, right?
Yeah.
A guitar lick. The way you're gonna play it and the way I'm gonna play it's gonna be different.
Totally different. I love that.
Yeah.
That's I get a lot of questions about music and writing and stuff. Like, how do I do it? I'm just like these are the two most
For sure. Yeah.
honest to God,
definitely,
these are the most
definitely.
powerful
The tools. Yeah.
things you'll ever have.
Yeah.
They really are.
Tools.
So yeah, in a short answer though, I don't think about the theory as the forefront. I like to use theory to break down what I did, and,
Yeah,
and
just-
understand why I did that. It's like that's how that works, and then I kind of log that away, and that's another thing I know now.
I think it's good too that you do that because probably during clinics the way you're gonna explain it.
Oh, it helps.
It helps.
It helps. Yeah. Sometimes people say like, I don't want to learn theory. It's gonna ruin my musical mind. It's like shut up.
I mean, a bit of theory wouldn't hurt.
Of course, yeah. Like, I remember the reason why I got into even wanting to learn music theory. I was in high school and I heard a piano player and a saxophonist. I think they were talking, and you know, guitar players with fifth fret, seventh fret.
Yeah.
They're like fucking fifth fret. They're like, oh yeah, over that major chord I played the sharp 11. I didn't. I'm like sharp. It was a language that I wanted to communicate with people. So I just wanted it so I could feel part of the discussion, and then I found it was very satisfying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
This is cool.
So what's the progression? Oh, 1 6 2 5.
Yes. One. Is that someone's phone number?
What is
yeah.
that?
Yeah, exactly. So I just, I got to a point. Now I don't know everything by any stretch, and I don't know anybody that does know everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
But
it's enough.
I know enough to be dangerous. I guess you could say.
One last question.
Sure.
About, every of your songs, you have to improvise. Do you think of scales, or because your parts?
Yeah.
The chord changes. I mean,
Yeah.
a little bit complex.
Some of them are
It's a bit
complex.
insane. I mean,
Some of them I kind of look back on and go like, why did you? Because I have to play over them now.
Yeah.
A lot of times I try. You know what? It's funny. I try to think 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Maybe not 90. That's pretty heavy, but let's say like 2/3 of the time I'm thinking just in pentatonics, just purely in pentatonics.
The core.
Yeah.
It's like a core.
With some sort of tension or some sort of interval added to what's really cool is when you can play over a bunch of kind of linear non-diatonic chords in the same spot on the neck, to be able to like, if you're like, okay, I'm going to play between like the 8th and the 12th fret, and I play over this entire 16 bar sequence, and every chord is changing, modulating different key, but you can do it all in the same spot. That to me is just like, there's something so satisfying about that.
For sure, yeah.
And it goes beyond technique. It's now you're in the moment. You're thinking. Your tone has to be good.
Wow,
your technique
that's
has
good.
to. There's so much, and that's just for me. That's like a personal thing that I really like.
Okay, here's my take on improvisation, right? Okay, I could be wrong. Okay, I could play some weird notes,
Sure.
or notes that not inside the diatonic scales.
Yeah.
But if my rhythm is cool, and I reach to the point of the chord tones
Oh yeah.
where I want to end,
Oh yeah.
I'm safe. And I'm
So safe.
Yeah.
You're so safe. You're right. 100%. You're
Yeah.
right. It's. I mean, that's a difficult thing to do if you're not playing at a level where you're like now it's like okay, we were talking about theory being in the background. Now the technique has to be in the background because it has to be like the technique. You have to have it to a point where it's there.
Yeah.
If you fell back, the technique would catch you. Like it has to be that you have to trust it that much, because you can play these weird lines with conviction and good intonation and good timing. Yeah, man. I mean, some of the greatest solos, some of the great in jazz and bebop and swing, they make no sense.
Yeah, exactly.
But the beginning,
At the
there's
end,
somewhere in there, there's a triad being outlined. So
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those guys were on heroin. They didn't know what they were doing. So it's but just that whole idea of freedom with touchstones, with tent poles. Like, I agree with you completely.
Because I feel that, I mean, I can play gibberish, but my rhythm is just on point. And
if you're playing like real swung triplets over it, it's like, oh, this guy's killing it, man. Yeah.
Then you end on the chord tones. Good.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And that in itself is an art form.
Yeah.
Is a dedication that you can actually get really fucking good at that.
Yeah.
Because you start to realize, and you said this at dinner, which I love this quote. You said, there's no wrong notes, just wrong choices.
Yes.
Which is real. I love that. Because, if you actually break it down, you could play just descending, semitones, and they all have a tie back to that root. And it's all math. It all makes sense. So, if you choose to go that route or want to break away from just playing modally or just pentatonically, you can do this kind of weird kind of soup, this mixture, this stew of everything. I love that. It's amazing.
It's kind of cool though.
Yeah, it's so cool.
guys, this is why I say. I mean, we are we are getting into Nick Johnston's complex mind. You believe me, don't you?
Well, it's funny because I spend so much time. I spend so much time as a guitar player or a musician. I spend so much time alone working on music by myself that I don't even like. I could be doing something cool. I don't know. I
Yeah.
would never know. It's
Yeah.
just you know, hi. You know, a lot of times I'm usually in my little studio, and my wife's she's a
Yeah.
I'm saying she's a clothing designer.
She doesn't bother you when you were in your writing mode,
and
right?
she just sits there and she's hanging out, listening, and she's working on her projects, and sometimes I'm like, is this any good? And she's like, yeah, it's really cool. Or she'll be like, it's okay.
You do need an opinion there.
Sometimes an
outside of your
opinion's
mind.
cool, but like I never know if what I'm doing has any sort of like you're saying it's complex. I don't know if I don't
Yes,
know.
it is.
I don't know because it's that kind of pursuit. Like I get up very early every morning. I'm usually up at 5:30 in the morning. For no other reason, just because I like to sit at the piano in the morning. I like that time of day.
Just your
Yeah, I
time.
smoke a little bit of weed, watch the sun come up and play.
It's nice.
It's very nice,
nice.
and it's nice. And some of the music you write might sound good then, and you come back and you're like, "Oh, that's not that good." Yeah.
Do you
'Cause,
realize
you know-
that? I guess you didn't realize this. A lot of people on YouTube, they're breaking down a song.
Oh, I
They're
didn't
trying
know.
to make a theory out of it.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, this is how Nick Johnston composes a song. You gotta check
I
it
didn't-
out.
I
man.
didn't
You
know.
gotta- yeah, people
I didn't
actually
know.
analyze your
Oh.
music.
Oh, wow.
Don't you find that interesting?
That's
now?
very interesting. I'm kind of. I think I'm blushing a little bit after hearing that.
Dude.
I think I'm turning a little bit red after hearing that. Well, that's very, very cool. That's
Yeah.
very cool. And I think there is maybe a lot of people out there. Let me try that again. There's probably people out there like me that got bored with just the technique stuff.
For sure, yeah.
There, if you're doing instrumental music or you're studying music, whether it's like, progressive rock or a little bit of jazz or fusion, I was in the same boat where I wanted to express myself with more colors, and the only way to do that was by following my ear, following my heart, if you will.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's just these like big kind of like bombastic, almost classical film score chord changes, But it can all be traced back to just I just play blues over all of it. And it's fine.
It's a core somehow. Blues.
It
Modern
is.
music,
It is,
yeah, it's
especially on a guitar, because it just how good does a blues lick feel on a guitar? It feels so, and it just it just sounds great.
It's amazing.
It is. It really is. It's to die for. But so anyway, I have a new record. I'm recording. When am I doing it? In December. Actually, when I get home.
Oh.
It'll be my 7th instrumental album. And I'm really excited about this one because.
Tell us why.
Yeah. So I came up with a whole bunch of new techniques and writing harmonic techniques and just kind of these new arrangements I've been messing around with, and kind of some new approaches to it to make the song. I like when a song can kind of hold you and hold you all the way to the end of this. I've had music I've released in the past on Remarkably Human or Wide Eyes or something like that, where you get to like 4 minutes into the song, and I, as a listener to it now, I'm like, that could have gone somewhere. That could have gone somewhere at the end. It could have taken you.
No, I guess that proves that you progress.
You have.
You progress. No,
Yeah.
like you.
Well said.
Yeah. Right.
Well said.
Because
yeah.
you listen back and say, I could have done that.
Yeah.
You progress, man.
Yeah. You know where I do that the most.
Yeah.
I think about that shit the most of all places in the shower. I don't know why. I'm like taking a shower. I just stand there. And I'm like this. That last chorus, like I could have changed the key.
Of all places.
I don't know why. Maybe because it's like a still.
Yeah,
it's almost meditative. It's like it's weird. It's
just
a weird
water flowing.
Yeah, it's like I'm just sitting under the waterfall, just like that. But anyway, I'm very excited about that record. I have every instrumental record I've done. I've been very lucky. I've had a great drummer. I worked with Marco Miniman. I worked with Gavin Harrison. Benny Greb, Aaron Sterling. This record I'm doing with a guy from LA named Thomas Lang. Do you know Thomas Lang?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, sure.
Tom.
Yeah, so he should
Dude.
he should be recording right now. Actually, Thomas, you better record. No,
Thomas Lang.
yeah. So I'm doing it with him, and I'm gonna put it out in the New Year sometime. But all the music was written about my wife. So I met her over the
That's
pandemic.
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. And when we first got married, so just a quick little story.
Yeah.
So I was living at home up until recently because I didn't have any money, and buying a house is very expensive.
Broke.
It is what it is, but you know I'm doing okay now. But when we got married, I moved out of essentially my parents' basement, and we moved into because she had moved and I was moving. We moved into her mom's basement together, which is kind of funny. It's like I'm the only married guy that moves from his mom's house to her
from one
wife's
basement to the
to
other.
another. Yeah. Which is it's a funny little thing. It's a funny little story.
Dude,
Anyway,
it's not. It's not.
No. But the point I'm trying to make is when we were living down there,
Yeah.
we had very small little living quarters, very very small,
Yeah.
and I was writing my music, and she was sitting right beside me working on her stuff. So just like being there, I wrote the whole record in no time. It was the easiest thing that ever happened. It was as though the music was just kind of naturally flowing out, and I wrote so much stuff, and I'm naming the album after her. So her name is Sachiko, and she's mixed Japanese, so it's a Japanese name, and it means child of bliss in English.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be the name of the album. So it's the first record I've done that really has come from not a place of darkness, but a place of light and love. You know, Remarkably Human. I was just became diabetic, and the name Remarkably Human it was the first time I felt human and you know mortal. Wide Eyes in the Dark. I went through a lot of bad shit, and the whole idea of Wide Eyes in the Dark is no matter how terrible and you just like have to stay.
Yeah, you have to stay on your toes. You have to just keep on going.
Exactly, in young language, I don't want to get into it, but another whole thing like that. So this record is
So the latest album, I mean,
the coming,
latest one,
yeah.
done. I mean, writing.
It's done. It's
How long
it's,
did it take you to?
I
finish
think the
it?
whole thing. I wrote a bunch of extra stuff. I always like to have the whole course. I think it took about a year. Usually it takes me about a year to write it.
It's not long.
It's not long. It's not
You
long.
know why? Because she was there.
Yeah.
You wrote. I mean,
I think I wrote 2 albums, but I picked the best 8. Picked the best 8. Whereas I did a previous record I put 11 on, which is just too many songs. So I wanted to do 8, and it's fully instrumental again.
that's beautiful, man.
Oh
That's
yeah,
beautiful,
thank you.
man.
I'm very, very, very excited with it. But her and I have a project too. It's called Osmanthus. She sings on it.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then I have a
Osmanthus.
project with my best friend Ben. It's called Archival, and I sing and play guitar on that. So I've dedicated. You know, my life is just
music.
creating music.
It's music.
It's all I listen to music 24/7. I talk about music 24/7. I play it all the time, and
You do watch TV, do you?
we watch movies at night.
Okay, fine.
We do, yeah.
Yes.
Sit on the couch, you know, sit with the cat, and watch a movie.
Is the mind still thinking?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
But it helps to smoke some weed. I hate to keep going back to that, but like I mean that's where I am right now. I don't drink. I don't do any other stuff. But I spent so long, just anxiety in my brain, just going constantly and overthinking everything, and I'm not doing enough. I need to be.
Yeah.
I'm just like 35. It's like when is that shit gonna stop? So I'm trying to take measures to just relax a bit more, and now that I have another record under my belt, I can I'm gonna try a bunch of new stuff. This will be the last instrumental album for a couple of years. I think I want to, I think a mistake is to put out now would be to put out another album if I didn't have something new to say. So I'm gonna wait until I have something new.
I think there's a lot of stuff going on right now.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And the touring, I'm back touring. This is the 3rd one this year. And it'll be 7 or 8 years with the
it's
Schecter
back.
model. So it's good. It's all
going
good.
back to back. I mean, stuff.
never stops. Yeah,
Dude.
but that's
It's in a good
that's
way.
what
in a
I
good
want.
way.
It's
It's
funny
what you want,
if
yeah.
when it's all happening, it's a lot and it's crazy, and you sometimes want it to slow down. But when it's
Yeah.
gone, you're like,
When it's good, when's
who's
next?
gonna?
What's
What
next?
the hell? Yeah. So it's. I mean, that's that sort of that's that sort of feast or famine mentality I've
Yeah.
always had because I was so poor for so long. So I was always like, what? I gotta do something. I gotta do. And now that like things are okay and things are good now, that when it does slow down, I'm still like, oh shit,
What
like,
am I gonna do
I'm not
next?
gonna be able
No,
to eat tomorrow. So I'm just like I'm learning to live with that, and it's cool. It's a cool transition, and I feel like it's the best thing I've ever done. This new record, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got a wife to thank you. To thank.
I think so. I mean,
Thank
she
for,
yeah. I mean, she
She's an inspiration.
she's wonderful. Yeah, and I'll say hi to her.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, that's pretty cool about the YouTube stuff. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Dude, you gotta check it out. I mean, I saw this particular guy. I'm sure there's more.
Sure.
He was actually breaking it down and analyzing it in a music theory. I mean, musical theory way.
Wow.
I was like,
Crazy, man.
someone actually doing this, huh?
Wow.
So why does he have Bisa something? I mean, I don't remember it, but it's along the line of Bisa something 11 or something that
Yeah.
you put it on your on a chords. And I didn't go to a point where I listened the whole thing, but I was like, just amazed someone actually took the liberty to.
Me too. Well, just a disclaimer. If you are trying to break my stuff down or trying to analyze it, when I'm writing it, I'm literally just trying to do is I'll pick certain chords, or like I'm using the word audition just because I'm trying at
Yeah.
the moment. I'm just trying to use the chord that sounds the most comfortable, but also
Good flow.
dragging.
good
Yeah,
flowing,
it's also
flowing.
dragging you to a place that is maybe gonna make you feel something. I was obsessed with. I grew up in the '90s, so I was obsessed with Japanese RPG video games.
Oh, I love you.
Yeah, all that
Just
stuff.
come on,
So
we all
so
build-
so all those soundtracks had these really beautiful, sweet, simple melodies, but sometimes the harmony and the movement.
Just moving away.
Yeah, it
and
was
then
just
bring you back, pull you back.
exactly. So yeah. Anyway, so it all comes from feeling with a little bit of theory in the back.
You know, who knows? One day, like in school, like back then in any music school, they will analyze John Coltrane's
Oh yeah.
composition. Yours could be next. And
That would
you
be
never know.
that'd be crazy.
That'd be
man. That'd
sick,
be crazy.
All right, Nick. So thank you very much.
Oh
for
my
this.
God, that
For-
was so
thanks-
wonderful.
Thank you very much for coming
Guys,
either.
thank you so much. Anyone who's watched this,
Yep.
thank you very much, and
Thank you,
what
Nick.
a great interview.
And thank you, Davis Guitar, for bringing Nick here.
Thank you,
for
Davis
inviting
Guitar.
Nick here. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Right.
it's wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
so-
Thank you very much.
Are you going anywhere after this?
I am going to Taiwan next, to Taipei, of course.
Yep.
Then we go to Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, and then what am I doing?
Dude, you're going places.
Yeah, and then I'm going. You're going places, kid. And then I go to where are we going after that? Could ask Ryan. Then we go to Dubai. I feel like I'm missing. We were in Seoul, Bangkok,
Insane.
Kuala Lumpur, then here.
When are you going back home? Go
One more
home.
week. Yeah, go home. Mate. I know. I missed my wife and cat.
Oh, you have a cat?
I have a cat. Yeah, yeah.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, just very grateful to still
Thank you very much
post pandemic
for being here.
get to still do it.
Well, Nick Johnston, an amazing guitar player.
Complex
Complex
mind. Oh, shit. More like atomic mind.
Atomic man.
Thank you guys. Thanks. That was great.